Hey everybody, welcome back to Barter Hordes. My name is Robert and we're here to do match day 10. We're still in the first round, but we're almost at the end of the first round. If you hear a little whining in the background, it's because my boy Bruno had his neutering operation this morning and he's wearing the cone of shame and he's not happy about it one bit. Are ya? Nope, not one bit. Today's matchup is between The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, which I just read last week, and then a book I read a couple months ago, Harlem Shuffle by Colson Whitehead. And this is a little bit of a tough matchup for me because I liked both books but didn't love either one. I gave them both 4 stars on Goodreads. The Book of Form and Emptiness is another book kind of like Bewilderment in the sense that you've got a young male character, Benny, who has mental health issues. Benny's father is a Japanese, I guess he's Korean and Japanese, a jazz clarinetist, and his mother is white. And Benny was named after the jazz great Benny Goodman. And he and his father got along really well, and then his father couldn't get out of the habit of all the alcohol and dope he was smoking, and one day coming home he was out of it, kind of fell down asleep in the alley and got run over by a chicken truck of all things. And so Benny was left with his mother, who was pretty incapable of being a parent, let alone a single parent. She had her own issues, Annabelle. And it's really interesting. Benny hears voices. He starts to hear voices, and they get more and more pronounced as he struggles with the grief of losing his father. And he's always been a little bit of a loner anyway, and so he stops going to school and starts going to a library. And a book there starts talking to him and narrates his life. And most of this novel is the book narrating Benny's story. And it's a really interesting story. I think it's way too long, though. It's well over 550 pages. And I think it probably could have been 400 pages easily. It just seemed to drag. The second half of the book seems to drag for me a little bit. My one concern, and this is the first time I've read anything by Ruth Ozeki, and I really like her writing style. I'll have to pick up something else. I know she's had several really popular books. But one thing that concerns me a little bit is that she's almost romanticizing Benny's struggles, whether you want to call it a mental illness or whether he's divinely inspired, I don't know. But she's almost hinting that he's somehow divinely gifted and not mentally ill. And she paints a pretty unsympathetic portrait of Benny's psychologist. And so I'm a little uncomfortable with that because it seems like that's become a trend in books recently, that if somebody is mentally ill, that we just pretend like it's not really an illness at all. It's their unique quality, and they don't necessarily get the help they need. Of course, it helps when mental health professionals are actually qualified. So I liked it. Didn't love it, wished it had been 150 pages shorter than it was. One thing I'll say, and this has nothing to do with my rating of the book, is that I did not get along well with the audiobook at all. The man who reads the majority of the audiobook is wonderful. I don't remember his name, but he does the sections of the book talking. And I believe Ruth Ozeki herself does the young boy Benny's voice and his mother's voice, Annabelle, and it is so jarring and out of character from what you read in the story that I just had to stop listening about halfway through and just read the text by itself. So if you're interested in doing this one on audio, I would go listen to a sample of it first and see if you are comfortable with her voice. It's a shame because it really put me off and I had to turn it off halfway through, but didn't change the way I felt about the book. Great writer, not necessarily a great audiobook reader. Harlem Shuffle. I have felt the same way about this book as the 2 previous books by Colson Whitehead that I read. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. There's something that holds me back with Colson Whitehead's books, and I'm not really sure what it is. This is a book set in the 1960s in New York. Ray Carney is a furniture salesman who's trying to live an upright life. As they have their second child, he starts to get involved in some low-level criminal activity that kind of spins out of control, and this becomes a heist story, essentially, and a heist story that doesn't necessarily go very well. There are parts of this novel that remind me of Invisible Man. And those parts I absolutely thought were terrific and brilliant. But then it kind of wanders off in some different directions, and it seems to lose focus for me a couple of times towards the end. And so I think it was less successful than it might have been. But I have said that about all three of Colson Whitehead books I've read now, that I thought that they could have been better. I think the talent is better than the book that actually came out. So I liked it. 4 stars, didn't love it, didn't love either of these, which puts me in a bind. Which one do I put forward into the next round? I think when it comes down to it, for the first 2/3 of Ruth Ozecki's book, I was pretty much on board. I liked the writing, I liked the story, I liked everything that was going on. And so I'm going to advance the Book of Form and Happiness into round 2, knowing that I could have easily advanced Harlem Shuffle as well. This one was a real close call. So that's what's going forward into round 2 for me. Coming up next week in match 11 is a book I just finished last night called Burnt Coat by Sarah Hall. She is a British short story writer. I believe this is her first full-length novel, and she's gotten a lot of notice in the UK, but she hasn't gotten a lot of attention here in the United States, and I think that's why she got overlooked for the BookTube Prize this year. Not many people knew about her. But I read that one, and then a book I read many months ago, Light Perpetual by Frances Spufford. Those will be the books that square off in match day 11. Hope you're having a good week. I'm going to go try to get Bruno comfortable so he stops trying to rip this cone of shame off of his ears. We have to live with this thing for 2 weeks. He's going to have to get used to it. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.